So this thing you can know, right? As I said you, okay, 1 minute. So you understand, right? This one, how we use date and time.
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, is it clear to you, right? Exception handling, you know?
No, I do not.
Okay. Exception handling is a module. Means why do we use this exception handling? See, in the code means in the whenever we make a project or whenever we work in the industry, we write a long lengthy code. Okay, so it's very difficult to find it out the error and bugs. So in that case, what we do, we write all our code inside this try block. Okay, do you see this try? So we write all our code in this try block, and based on that we write this different exception type here. Okay, there are different kind of exception. You can see zero division error. So there are different kind of exception. I will going to explain you right now. So there are different kind of exceptions are there. So in case, suppose if any error exists, so what they do, they just transfer their means if any error exists, then they will like whatever error is there, they will going to like assign to this exception block, and this exception block will going to handle it, and your code will still run. For example, just try to write the programs where you will get a divide by zero. Okay, let me show you once. So you can see this, when I'm trying to divide a by b, it is giving me zero, right? What is an error? Zero division error, because I'm trying to divide a number by zero, which whose value will come infinite, and you can't handle that infinite value. So if you have such means requirement, how you're going to handle it? Okay, in order to handle this, right, we write the code in your try and except block. So this try block, you can see I have written the logic, and this exception block, in this except, I'm telling what kind of error usually will have. Means whatever the error exists on this error will going to be assigned to this exception block, and this exception block will going to run your code. Your code won't interrupt or no error will come. So in the industry or when we do project, we write all our code in the try block, so that while running any application or software, it should not give any error. We write the code in our try and catch block. Catch is a term in Java, but in Python we use try and except. Now you see this code. I am doing the same operation, but I'm writing this logic of division by zero inside this try block, and this exception, which is there are different kind of exception we have that will going to handle it. So this exception I will going to tell you what are the different kind of exception. This will going to handle this zero division error, and it will going to run this code successfully by giving a message can't divide by zero. And there is a one more block called finally. This finally block, why do we use this finally block? We use because this finally block is used to like handle, means this finally block, they will going to handle the error. Okay, means this finally block, in case suppose you have an error that is not comes under any type of exception. There are different kind of exception we have. You can see, let me rub this. Okay, as I said you, arithmetic error. In that arithmetic error you will have a exception type overflow error. Suppose you are trying to uh, enter a value in an array of size 10, 20 value. Will it be able to enter on that array? No, right? Means it is some similar to, you have a bucket size of 10 liter trying to fill the 15 liter. It will get overflow. That is one more error. That is error type. Zero division error, as I've told you, like division by zero. Floating point error, when you do not handle float value. Index error, when you have a wrong index. Key error, assertion error. So there are different kind of error we have. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So in this exception handling, what we do, we write a programs with try and except block. Our starting will be like this. You write the code, sorry, you write a code inside this. You can see for I in ABC, and I'm trying to do the power to the power of this element. So you know that you this is a like a character. Okay, these are the character element, and they are trying to print the like a power of this. It will obviously error will come. So when you when you run this program without this, let me comment it. See, the error is coming. What's an error? Okay, indentation error. Okay, so let me first take it to the left side. See, the still error is coming. You can see the unsupported operand. This power function cannot support it with character, right? But same thing, if you write it in a try and accept block, suppose this is your requirement, it will run successfully with the message that an error occur after running code, but this code will run. So what's the problem here? Sorry. Yeah, this code will run. So normally when we work in an industry, we don't want our code or our software should be interrupt in a between. Okay, that's the reason we write a code in a try and accept block. And this exception block, you can define it based on the possibility of error you can get it. Now here, based on the requirement, I've added zero division error. So in case if any error occur, this will going to handle it. And why do we add finally block? Because in case if there is any error exists that not handled by this exception block, so your finally will always execute. Finally means what? Finally this will be going to execute in any case if this exception block won't be execute. Okay, like suppose here, if you do not have a division error, then this won't be execute because you do not have a division error. If I change this, let me change 0 to 3, and let's run. So you can see all done is coming. Why? Because here there is no error occurring on this, and this exception block will not going to handle this exception block, right? So you should need something to satisfy you that okay, my code is running successfully without interrupt. So finally will you will going to add it. It means that this module will going to run in anyhow situation. Do you understand now?
Yes.
So similarly, you can run it. Here also there is a while true. Okay, let me run this. Here I created one function. Inside that function, I put while true. It means that this loop will always run. Then inside this try block, I am accepting the input from a user. And in case if the user if do not enter any value, then this error will going to throw to this exception block. If I do not enter any value or if I enter anything wrong, here you can see int input. This means I am expecting to enter input value that is of integer type. Okay, but if you enter anything character and all, it will throw an error. Let me run this. Okay, and I'm running this ask. So you can see it is asking me to enter a value. Let me enter a. So see, it is printing an error occur. Please try again. Why? Because I put continue here. I am entering character, but I want to enter integer. So this exception block will handle successfully. But if you do not use this, it will give you error. Now let me enter one. So see, thank you, your number is square is 1. Are you getting like this? This is a requirement and this is very easy, not much difficult. That's the reason we used exception block in the company, so that, or in a project, so that your code can be run successfully. You won't get any error. Okay. So this is one more thing. Next thing is your multi-threading. Are you like, do you understand, right? Exception handling, or is it looking
Yeah.
complex to you?
No, it's not complicated.
Yeah. So ma'am, like when I will going to share with you, because Tejas is already aware about it, so he can do it. But like in case suppose you stuck, just run this program and see this example from the like Python org. Like simple example is given here. You just need to copy it and paste it on a collab and see how they are working. It's very easy. But if you still feel difficulty, let me know. I can conduct one more extra session and I will clear you on some weekend. Now here, suppose you wanted to check multi-threading is one concept. Are you aware, Tejas, multi-threading?
No.
Okay. What do you mean by this multi-threading? Let me explain you. Let me save this first. Multi-threading is a concept that is used to divide a program into several subtasks. So it is helpful in parallel processing. It is helpful in parallel processing of your task. Now let me give you
If one task is divided in many threads, it will run simultaneously.
yeah, correct. In Java, have you done this multi-threading?
I haven't done that much in Java.
Python?
No, not even like threading. I don't know about what is that.
Okay, it's similar to a single unit of program. Means what is the difference between this thread and all? See, for example, let me tell you. Your task is to give exam tomorrow. Suppose you have an exam tomorrow. Your task is to give exam tomorrow. Which exam? Programming. Okay, this is your main task. This is your main task. You can say it. Program. Normally in the computer science, we say it process. Okay, one complete process or task. In to give an exam, what are the subtasks you do? Preparation, practicing, code. Okay, third thing, you wake up early in the morning for going to the school. Okay, next thing what you do, you reach to school, reach to exam center, means exam room, or you can once you occupy seat, right? Uh, receive answer sheet, fill the answer sheet. Then you will going to receive question paper. Then start writing exam, finish exam, reach home, right? So these are the subtasks that you have to do it. What was your task? To give exam tomorrow successfully with the good marks, or like a with good preparation. So what are the set of tasks you did? Preparation, practicing code, wake up early in the morning, and reach to school, exam center, you can say instead of school. Okay, exam room, you occupy your seat, receive answer sheet, fail and all. So these are called as a thread, or you can say subtask. In order to do complete task, in order to do this task, you have done thread subtask. And what is the reason of this? That why we are doing this thread, or why we are running subtask? Is it easy to handle subtask instead of a complete task, right? If I say you write down 50 question is given in your exam. Okay, suppose like normally 30 question is asked in CBSE, as per I remember. 30 question they usually ask, like for any subjects, but right now might be the syllabus change. So like suppose you have a 30 question in the exam. Out of 30 question, do you write all the questions at once? No, right? You write first question, second question, third, and step by step you go. That is called, you can call as a thread. It is easy to handle a thread for any system or for any program or software instead of complete thread, because you have a limitation. What are the limitation you have? Memory, your RAM, your storage. Suppose if I say you Tejas, suppose if I say you, um, in 2 GB RAM memory, you run a PUBG game on your system. Will you able to run it?
No, it will have many problems.
Yeah. Do you require graphic card for that?
Yes.
Correct. Why? Because graphics for the gaming laptop or to play game, lot of high configuration you require. Your memory, processor, graphics you require, right? It's not run in a normal system. Why? Because that is a complete task, and in order to meet that requirement, you have to divide your task in a several subtasks so that it can run successfully, and you won't fail anywhere. And obviously in case of thread also sometime it fails, but it will run more efficiently in term of memory, storage and processing. And that is the reason why do we use thread concept. We divide our whole task into several subtasks and they do parallelly. This is your easy explanation for that. Now suppose you have a processor, okay? Inside what actually they do, and this is your memory, and this is your storage, that is your hard disk. Inside your hard disk you save your programs. Okay, this program, once you start running the program, this program first come to your RAM. As they come to the RAM, okay, this program first come to the RAM, then your processor will start working on it. Processor will start working on it. They will going to divide your task, this one, to prepare for exam into several subtasks. For example, they will going to prepare into several subtasks. So what they will going to do here, they will divide this task into several subtasks, and based on that, this processor will run parallelly one by one. Now you, as I given you example, you have a 50 question. Okay, you have a 50 question, and you wanted to execute or you wanted to write all the question at once, it won't be possible, right? So what you're going to do it, you will going to divide your task into subtasks, and you will handle that task separately. So each task will occupy a separate space inside the memory, and separate processing also, means occupy several processing. So suppose if while running your task tomorrow exam, you require 2 GB of space, okay, in a memory. For running preparation, it will occupy in a MB of that space, right? So which one will execute much faster? Obviously your thread, right? That is why it is called as a single unit of program task, a lightweight process. Thread is called as a lightweight process, and it is more efficient in term of a memory or in term of a processing to execute each task. Now you understand why do we parallelly execute a task, or what is a thread? Ma'am, are you clear with this?
Yes, it's clear.
I think you might be already aware.
Maybe.
So this
I'm
RAM,
half asleep, so I'm sorry.
okay,
Go on.
yeah. So this is the concept behind it, like how we parallelly run this task. And now here, if you see it in multiprocessing, you need to import this multiprocessing application, means library. Inside that library, I have created one function, def worker, and I'm just printing this worker, and I'm writing it. Once you call this return function, every time they will going to return it. But here you can see, if you remember, this is called as, why do we use this step? Do you know, Tejas?
It is just like you told about encapsulation. It is just like the main function we do in Java. It's just like if it is in the same file, kind of, if
Correct,
the code is running.
correct. So here this main function will going to bind all the code together, and then here you are running this loop for I in a range 5. P is equal to multiprocessing dot process, target is equal to worker, okay, and job dot append p dot start. So here you will going to run your task in a multiprocessing way, means multiple tasks are running here in a different processor. Means what they do, processor, they divide their task into several subtasks, or you can say that, have you heard this term dual core, quad core processor?
Yeah, I was about to ask, what is a core then?
Yeah, core means this processor is divided into different sub core, means different processing unit. Each processing unit handle each subtask, that, and because of that your parallel processing is possible. For example,
It is
this,
just like thread is for thread. It is just the same work as thread,
yes,
sub-processors. Core is sub-processor.
yeah, for
Okay.
example, this 4 core we say, uh, right? So this processor is having, you can say, 4 unit. When 4 unit, when you combine it, it become processor. So each core is running task. So this is called as a, they perform parallel processing, right? Suppose this processor dual core, octa core. So each core is actually your processor, and when you combine all those core, they become processor. And when they do parallel processing, each core handle each task, and that is the reason they achieve parallel programming, or you can say parallel processing. Later they combine their result and they produce on the RAM. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here with this multiprocessing library, I'm going to call my process. What is process? That to execute this worker node. What is my target? To execute this worker function. And as I call it, you can see here, whenever you write this job dot append, it will going to call this multiprocessing, means multi-core, and it will run your code in a parallel fashion. And that's the reason it will execute more fastly. Instead of running your code at once, it will take time. But if you run in a multiprocessing way, means different core handle some task. Here it means that, like for example, I'm taking your class, okay? Zoom I'm running, right? So one core is handling Zoom, another core is handling my voice so that it can reach to you, another code is handling this paint screen, another code is like another core like handling like memory in term of all. So this is called, sorry, core we say, okay, this core. So the term like octa core, dual core, right, is stand for this only. Quad core, like this. It means like subunit you can say, or you can say processor. I'm writing CPU with same thing, okay? CPU divided into multiple core, okay? So this is the explanation of for this. And similarly, there is some more program you can run it. Um, you if you see this example, you will easily understand. Okay, I have run in front of you only. Let me change it to 9, and you can see it is printing 9 time, but it might be thinking you like it is running a simple for loop. No, it's not like that. Internally, this job is dividing into the several different processor, and they are handling this. So it means that you are just instructing your processor to divide a task in between the different core and show me the output 9 time. So they are dividing internally to the different core of your processor, and we're going to run. Just give a minute, okay? I just got 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I just yeah, sorry, actually I got one call. Yeah. So is it clear to you, right? What do you mean by multi-threading, multi-processing? Am I audible?
Yes. But can you explain multi-threading once again?
Same thing, multi-threading, I told you this one only. Multi-threading means dividing your task into several subtasks. That is your thread. Subtask they call as a thread.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
Understood.
And multi-threading means you are handling this multiple thread at once by assigning each thread to the each core of a processor. So suppose you have a 4 core. Now there might be a question, like when a beginner they start on this, they might ask, like, sir, we have only 4 core, but you said like it is dividing into the 10 subtask or 10 thread. How it will handle? Each core will going to handle suppose 2 thread. They will going to parallelly switch and forth between them. Switch and forth means what? Do you know what do you mean by actually multiprocessing? See, actually what they do internally, they execute half of this half. They just apply switch and back and forth, we say, means they execute half of this instruction, then they will switch to this, they will execute half, then again this they will come to this, complete it, then they will come like this. Do you understand what I said? Okay, let me explain you.
I am having some network issues. Can you repeat?
Yeah, uh, they in multi-threading they apply switch and execute policy. It means that what do you mean by this? They execute, suppose this is first instruction preparation one, okay? They execute half of this first thread, switch to next thread, okay? Then come back to first, execute it completely, then again switch to next, and complete it. Do you understand what I said? Means what they do, they will execute half of this, then they will come to this, execute half, then they will come to this, execute half, and as they see that these are more important, they will switch back to this thread, they will complete it, then they will complete this, then they will again switch to any of this thread, execute half of it. Like this they happen, means they are switching continuously from thread to thread. Now do you understand?
Yes.
So how parallel processing they do? Now if I say you, um okay, suppose sometime it happens that you have a like a suppose tomorrow you have a two test, okay, social study and like a mathematics. So what we do, in morning you will study, you will prepare for one chapter of social study, then in afternoon you will prepare for one chapter of mathematics, then in evening you will prepare again for social study one chapter, then in the night you will prepare again mathematics one unit, and in the evening you will revise it. So are you stick to that? No, means are you not doing like you complete first mathematics completely, then you will go for social study? In that case it won't be multi-threading. Multi-threading means what? Where you are switching back and forth between different thread, you execute half or some part of it, then you will switch based on the priority. Priority means which task to be executed more important. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so like this it happens. Now how you going to write? So this import, logging, threading and time, these are the library that will help you in multi-threading, and this logging will give you extra information. You can see logging info. This logging info is a library that give you information about like that will help you to prevent error. This will give you extra information. Let me show you how it is. It will give you information like this. See, Import login means it will going to tell you what is the timing, warning, what is the information message, warning message, error message, right? So like this shows. Do you understand this one? So
Yeah.
this logging means they are giving you extra information, metadata about the instruction, which is a warning message, information message, error message. So in this way it works. So here, when I run this threading concept, when I run this threading program, here you can see, am I audible, right? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So I was explaining you 1 minute. Yeah, you can see this program. I have created one function. Inside this function, I have called this logging function that is giving me the logging information. And so here you can see it that it will time dot sleep. This sleep function, they will going to switch and back and forth only. Means when you apply this sleep function on this first instruction, it means that you execute this code, half of the code you execute, and then you make this thread to the sleep state so that you can switch to the another thread. Okay, and make execute that. Then again you will make it sleep so that you can move to this thread and you can run it. Are you getting? You want to make it inactive or like a in a sleeping state in order to execute or switch to the next thread. Do you understand this?
Yes.
It is somewhat complex, but it's like a conceptual. And then I just create one function that will going to calculate the timing, how much time my process will going to take, and in that, after that, I'm creating the list of my thread with this function thread is equal to list. For index in a range 3 means I'm creating my 3 thread. I'm trying to create a 3 thread for this operation, and each thread will going to give me extra information like when the thread is creating, when the thread is starting, how much time it take, and like that it is running. So again, I'm doing the same thing for index and thread means how many thread is created. Enumerate function, I told you like when you want to print index and value together, we use enumerate function. So same thing it will going to do. It will going to give you information regarding your thread, as well as it will going to give you index wise like this thread 0 and it is starting, thread 2 it is working, like that. Okay. Let's connect again. Just need 10 minutes. Will you connect Tejas for 10 more minutes? Ma'am, I'm sending you link once
Yeah.
again. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Please join.